98FM. The sound of the city.
98FM's Dublin Talks. Weekdays from 10 a.m.
With Adrian Kennedy.
As we all know, this weekend will be one of the busiest and biggest weekends in Dublin. People from all over Ireland and from various parts of Europe will take to the streets of Dublin to celebrate Pride tomorrow here in the capital, with the main event, the parade, kicking off at 2 o'clock tomorrow, going from St. Stephen's Green to Smithfield. It's an event that this radio station, 98FM, is very proud to be supporting and be a media partner. And it's not the first time we've done it, and we're very proud to be involved in Pride. What Pride Weekend represents is extremely important to hundreds of thousands of Irish people, including this listener named Phil, who contacted us through our Facebook page last night. And I want to read this out, and I want to hear from people who maybe feel the same way. Hi guys, my name is Phil, and I'm just wondering if you could talk about something on your show. I believe that Ireland has come a very long way in recent years, though, in my opinion, we still haven't come far enough. I am a gay man from Dublin who goes out to celebrate Pride every year without fail. It means so much to me. It means so much to me because I feel that Irish people are still behind when it comes to accepting homosexuality. Yes, we legalised same-sex marriage in 2015, but that doesn't mean gay people are accepted in the same way that straight people are. I still experience discrimination and negativity over my sexuality, even if it is subtle. Why is Ireland still behind the rest of Europe? People say they have their rights. That's not enough. I want to be fully accepted. Irish people need to grow up and start becoming more accepting. Does anyone else feel this way? How can we change the awful mentality that still exists with some? And that's from a guy called Phil. And as I said, he contacted us on our Facebook page. Now, if you are gay, do you believe that we have come an awful long way, or do you think there is still much more to be done? Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98, or better still, call Katie on 6797 981. And if you are somebody who believes that, yes, we have truly come a long way, I'd love to hear from you on 6797 981. Now, as I said, lots of events planned for this weekend, including the main Pride Parade, which takes place in our capital tomorrow. Eddie McGuinness is the Dublin Pride Manager. Eddie, welcome to 98FM.
And happy Pride to all your listeners and everyone out there.
Absolutely. Now, Eddie, tell me what is going to be happening this weekend.
Well, we're actually going to be celebrating different aspects of our parade this year, but I'll go into that in a few minutes. But most importantly, we're going to be celebrating the biggest people parade in the country. And that's a celebration of family right across, the diversity of family and who and what we are. Okay,
so this weekend's event is a family event.
It's a mixture of everything, and that's what we have to realise. Diversity within our community and what the community stands for. That comes from family arts, photographic exhibitions, right across to the bars, clubs. That's from families right across to drag queens, you name it. The diversity within it. So we can't pinpoint just one aspect of it. It's a multiple aspects, and that's the diversity of the LGBTQ plus community.
So tell me a bit more about the parade taking place tomorrow.
The parade takes off and starts at Stephen's Green South. And because of the numbers that we are expecting for the parade itself, because we are the biggest people parade, not only in Ireland, but actually in the UK. We outdid London Pride last year, which I think is a great celebration in itself. But this year we're going to encourage people to come along the street to watch the parade. We have more contingents in the parade than even St. Patrick's Day. So that starts at Stephen's Green South, and that'll be from 12 o'clock and kicking off around about 1:30, 2 o'clock onto Cuff Street, going on to Kevin Street, Patrick Street, up to Christchurch, and then down towards Father Matthew Bridge and onto the finishing lines on the north side of the city, and a celebration in Smithfield Square.
And I'm just looking at the programme for the Pride Festival this year, and an unbelievable amount of events taking place not only this weekend but also over the last week, because it's been going for the last week. Are there any particular highlights you want to mention coming up over this weekend?
Well, very much so. We have our Pride party tomorrow night in Opium, where we have Samantha Mumba coming to celebrate with us. Then also we have the likes of the Mother Block Party. But these are all events. There's multiple bars, clubs, there's family events, even Outhouse, which is the LGBT community centre, where they have a non-alcoholic event. It's for the older age group, and that goes on in the community centre there. So we try and have diversity within diversity, if you understand me.
Okay, so it really is a packed event, or a packed calendar of events for the weekend. But the biggest event, of course, being the parade. I assume it's an event that all are welcome to come along and see.
Oh, no, that's one thing that we want to do about our parade. The parade is all about inclusion. And from that, we encouraging people from all over Ireland, and we already have that, and all over the world coming into Dublin to watch the parade. And also remember, this is a family event. So we want you to be waving the rainbow flag. There'll be so much going on. We have in excess, I think in around about 162 groups and contingent groups in the parade itself. That's not individually, that's just individual groups from all walks of the community and beyond, and businesses from the likes of Tesco to Aer Lingus to AXA and so forth. So there's multiple areas there. So let's enjoy it. And
as I said, 98FM is proud to be a media partner for this weekend's Pride events for the last week. Eddie McGuinness, Dublin Pride Manager, I wish you the very best of luck with everything over the weekend, and thanks for talking to us on 98FM.
Oh, it's a pleasure on behalf. And also just remember, tomorrow it's going to be a hot day, so lots of water, lots of sunscreen, and also look after each other. This is a happy Pride for everyone.
All right, brilliant, Eddie. Thanks very much indeed for talking to us. Stuart, you're on Dublin's 98FM. How are you, Stuart?
Hello, how you doing?
Good, thanks, Stuart. Now, your daughter is bisexual.
She is, yeah.
And it says on my screen here that you couldn't be more proud.
Exactly, yeah, I couldn't be more proud of her. She came out 3 years ago.
You there? Go on.
Here.
Yeah, go on. She came out 3 years ago.
She came out 3 years ago to say she was bisexual, and I couldn't be more proud of her.
And how did you deal with that when you got that information? Was it difficult for her to tell you?
I don't think it was difficult for her to tell me. Tell some of the family, probably maybe, but we're very accepting of her, and we love her dearly, so we couldn't be more proud of her, and we love her more because she had the courage to come out.
And is it courage? Did it take courage, do you believe?
I believe it did because she didn't know how people would react. And she has a great bunch of friends and family as well.
And as a matter of interest, okay, you've told me how you reacted and how you dealt with it, and that you couldn't be more proud of her for having the courage to come out. Was everybody, and this goes back to this guy Phil's message, was everybody that she knows as accepting and as tolerant and understanding?
Everyone that knew her, that grew up with her, was very accepting.
And did she have any negativity?
No, she did not. No, not one. Not a negative comment was made.
Wow, that's fantastic. And and obviously to hear stories like that there was no negativity at all, will I would hope make it easier for other people who are struggling with coming out to come out and to be who they are.
Exactly. That's the way I'm thinking as well. She was kind of like a pioneer, for other people that she was grown up with.
Mm-hmm.
So she was more worried about, to say, the public finding out, when she came out.
Mm.
But since she has, it's nothing but full of praise for her in the end.
Yes, and so it has had a positive impact and influence on her life.
Exactly, yeah.
That is great news, yeah. And she's much more comfortable with herself, and like I said, I imagine for many young people particularly, that decision to come out to your family and so on, in some cases does take a lot of courage.
It takes a lot of courage, and since she came out, she's more confident in herself as well.
So it has had a very positive influence on her.
Oh, yes, definitely, yes. I would say that, yes.
That's great news. Stay there for 1 second, Stuart. I'd love to hear from you on this on 6797981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme on 0877 98 98 98. Phil, who sent me the message on Facebook last night, is basically arguing that yes, we have on paper equality, we have marriage equality and so on, but he still finds, as a gay man, that he still experiences discrimination and negativity over his sexuality, even if it is subtle. And I want to find out if he's, well, obviously that's his feeling, that's his belief, but do others feel that way? Do others experience that sort of discrimination and negativity, even if it is subtle? Susan, you're on 98FM. Hi, Susan.
Hi, Adrian.
And now, Susan, what did you want to say on this?
Well, I think that Ireland itself, I think mentally isn't, again, it's not ready for, it's the upbringing. So everything was being so close, anything, mental health, LGBTQ plus, and everything else that's a little bit different. It's a case of Ireland is still behind other countries in that sense, that we've had everything so behind closed doors that coming out to your family, coming out to your friends, it's a big deal for people. It's whether you're 13, or 33 or 83, it's a big deal for the person themselves. But I don't think that it should be such a big deal.
That's what I was about to say. Why is it a big deal?
Irish people just seem to have a stigma about things. Like I said, mental health or anything like that. So your openness isn't there. We're open about a lot of things, but we're not open about things that are private, if you get what I mean. Like, I don't think it should make a difference whether you're gay or straight. Could you imagine if the whole world was gay and you were straight, you were straight, and it was the other way around? Do you know, that kind of way? That was, I couldn't imagine being that way. I grew up in Holland, not too far outside of Amsterdam, and I remember my cousin coming over to me when I was about 13, and we got the tram into Amsterdam, and I brought her into, it was like going into Dublin, and brought her into town, and we were on the tram, and it stopped at a stop, and there was two fellas kissing and holding hands, and she nearly died. She couldn't get over these two fellas being so open and public about it. It was also about, people with colour. She couldn't imagine why there were so many people of colour in the country, because there was at that time there was hardly any people of colour in Ireland, or anything other really than Irish people, and she hadn't really seen that. So I think it's very, we've been a country that was brought up in the church, under the church rule, and you weren't taught things in schools here. I done secondary school here, and I did see very different ways of going about and kids' behaviour. It's very, very behind, and that has just, those kids have now grown up, and they're in their 30s, 40s, and they're starting to have kids now, and because they weren't taught that it's okay to be different, it's hard to explain to their children that there are different people and there are different ways of doing things. And
do you think it's a generational thing? In other words, in the next generation, young people will be much more educated and open and accepting?
I'd say it's going to be another 2 generations, really, to be honest, before. I'd say the kids that are in junior infants now, it's them that are going to have kids that are going to be more accepting than any of the other children that are in schools now. I think when they have kids, that's when you'll see a major difference. Like you said, we have it on paper, but it doesn't mean that the country has actually caught up on what's on paper. Yes, we're all fun-loving and we love people, and we know people with LGBTQ or, anything, that are part of that society or that, way inclined. It's just sad. Like the other day I saw something on Facebook, I think it was yesterday, about a guy getting bet up because he was gay. Like in Ireland these days.
Well, in fact, there was an incident, and in fact, one of our listeners just reminded us that vile homophobia in Ireland is still alive and well. 2 gay men were attacked in County Laois recently.
Yeah.
And when I hear stories like that, I just feel ill. But I have to mention this, and I'm not even going to read them, but in the last few minutes, I've gotten some horrible text messages into this programme of a homophobic nature that I'm not going to read. But the point being that those sad, judgmental people still exist. And like I said, this guy Phil experiences it regularly, discrimination and negativity over his sexuality, even if it is subtle. What do you say to people who still are homophobic?
But I just don't understand it. I just can't get my head around it. My eldest is, is part of the LGBTQ, and we've never experienced anything like that. Well, she's had horrible remarks from boys that are 13, 14, and it's herself and her friends, and they'd be walking along, and there's the queer, and there's the lesbo, and the dyke, and all those horrible, really horrible.
And this is from young people.
Young people, and he's only 13 now. My child should be 18 now this year. Went up to them and said, "Lads, you do realise that I don't understand why you're saying that. We're still, we're people, and people commit suicide over this. It's a form of bullying. It's awful." And I can't recall exactly what she said to them, but the majority of the group kind of stood back and went, "No, we wouldn't want that on our conscience." And this one particular kid, he's always been a bully. I remember him as a 5-year-old, and he was always a bully towards other kids. He's just a nasty little piece of work. And he just stood there and he says, "I don't care." So I don't know how people are like that. I honestly, I can't understand it. I mean, like, what difference does it make to you what sexuality a person is, what gender a person is?
It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter a toss, had the truth be known.
You go home and deal with your own thing. Go to work, do your own thing, live your own life, and leave people alone. It really doesn't matter. Would you like a gang of gays coming up to you and saying, "Oh, you're straight and you're this and you're leaving girls on the side, you're a player," and all this kind of thing? Would you, I don't understand how people can actually. I actually just can't understand, because when I do hear things like that, and I'm growing up where I grew up, I never saw any difference. It was not that it was common, but it was, you just don't stop and stare. We weren't brought up to stop and stare at somebody that's different. It's their life. They're doing what they're doing. They're not causing any harm to anybody else. So just leave them alone. I just can't get it. And especially the month that it's in Ireland. I mean, we were one of the countries that, voted equality into this country. And I just don't understand where these kids...
Where these people get off, basically.
Yeah. Like, they must have been bullied as kids or something, or they must have been bullies, and there's something bad in their own life. In fact,
it's a word I've never used, and you're dead right to describe homophobia as bullying when people make negative comments and so on. That's exactly what it is.
There's kids that are committing suicide because they're getting teased in schools for whatever reason. For not being able to study, not doing good academically, not being sporty, like back in my day, we only had to worry about braces, freckles and glasses. Like, you know, I had all of them, so I was totally screwed. But like, I learned I have a tougher disposition than a lot of kids nowadays. And, you know, I try to teach my kids how to be resilient and how to not put up with, but just ignore it. I mean, like,
ignore
it.
But do me a favour, stay on the line there for 1 second, because I want to get some advice from you in a second. And in fact, to our other caller, Stuart, if you can stay there as well, Stuart, for a second, because I am now about to disguise the voice of a young man that we are calling Sean. That's not his name, but he has asked us to disguise his voice. And I'm going to read this message that Sean sent in to us a couple of minutes ago. I am a 17-year-old who is bisexual. I am not out to my family, just a small amount of my friends know. I am terrified to come out, as my family don't believe in people liking both sexes. My friends in my class don't know either, and the reason is because I'm afraid that they won't be friends with me as they are all straight. It really is a lot of pressure. Now, as I said, we're disguising this young man's voice to protect his identity, and we have changed his name. Sean, welcome to 98 FM.
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Good, thank you. That's a very sad message, that it's a lot of pressure and that you are terrified to come out to your family. Why?
Yeah, no. It's basically like I've been having the conversations with the family before, like, and they basically brought up that I really don't understand how people can like different sexes and stuff like that. And when, as they said it, I was shaking, like not knowing what to do, and made me feel very uncomfortable. And I don't know what they believe now. Regards of my mates in class, like, they are all straight. They always calling each other like queers, faggots, and all these being horrible names. Just basically, when they're doing that, I'm feeling very uncomfortable, and I'm not knowing what to do. Like, I've been.
How long more have you got in school? 1 more year?
1 more year, yeah.
1 more year, okay. And listening to you, it's not something you intend to tell them over the next year?
No, not really. But they probably already know, really. But it's just hard.
In your message, you say that it really is a lot of pressure. Is this something that constantly plays on your mind?
Yeah, no, 100%. As it's always on my mind when, like, it's just a lot of pressure. Like, it's always on my mind thinking about it, and I'm not knowing when I'm going to do it or how I'm going to do it, and will they see me as the same person? Like,
I spoke to a father a while ago, and he's still on the line here, whose daughter came out as bisexual a couple of years ago, and he said he couldn't be more proud of her. What are you afraid of? What are you? You say you're terrified. What are you terrified might happen if you were to come out to your parents?
Because I'm very close to my parents, like, and it's just I'm afraid that they're gonna look at me a different way, and like kind of like, not as if like leave me, but like we won't be as close anymore or anything, because that's the way they feel. Like, I've been bullied my whole life in primary of being called gay, a faggot, and stuff like that. And I think that's just making me more nervous, as if it was just my whole life now, you know, that I have to put up with it. And like, I'm suffering like with depression and anxiety and everything that really goes around. Like,
God love you. And all because of this?
All because of this, basically. It all revolves around thinking myself into corners and thinking what am I going to do. And like, I can see why people have committed suicide because of this. Because it is a lot on the mind.
Like I said, and I'm not reading out any one of them, we get obviously hundreds of text messages and WhatsApp messages coming into this programme, some of which are so horrible, the sort of things that you're talking about, Sean, that it makes me worry about the mentality of people like that. But what I'm hearing from you, we talk about Pride and this weekend, the Pride weekend and so on. And, people argue we have full equality in Ireland now. But listening to you, and particularly among young people, we don't have that equality. Well, you certainly are not experiencing it.
No, definitely not. Like, even my school that I'm in, there is a lot of gay people in the school, but in my class there's actually no gay people, and like it's hard. Like, my friends that have outside school are all gay, and the people that are in my class, not one of them is. So it's kind of, I feel very comfortable outside of school, but as soon as I went to class, I was experiencing a lot of anxiety and stuff like that, because it's putting a lot of pressure that I can't be myself without being slagged or bullied and stuff like that. Like, it's
and the sad part of what you're telling me, Sean, and like I said, we've disguised your voice for this very reason, that you don't want to be identified. Because you don't want any further bullying. But it saddens me to hear that sort of bullying that you experience or have experienced, and this is without ever having come out, is from young people.
Yeah, no, it is. Like, it is a lot of young people, like, and mostly is around my age, like coming into secondary school, and I've gone through the whole way of secondary school now. I've known that I'm bisexual, and I've started to hate school and not wanting to go and trying to drop out, but obviously I have to continue on. I've only 1 year left now, and the only thing is, like, the school, literally, they are so not helpful, and they haven't tried whatsoever. I've tried approaching them and try to get help, and literally there's absolutely nothing. Like, I know, like, we have, as you said, the equality on the paper, but really we haven't actually got the help that we need, and we haven't got equality. It is within the young people as well. Like,
Sean, I'm going to get you to stay on the line there for 1 second, because I have to take a very quick commercial break. But and Stuart, I want to talk to you after the break as well, and Susan, in fact, for any advice that you might have for this young man. It's this is exactly what this conversation is about. That on paper we have full equality here in Ireland, but we got a message from Phil last night, who is a gay man. He loves Pride every year. He feels Irish people are still behind when it comes to accepting homosexuality, and this is exactly the point that Sean's trying to make. Susan, I know you were listening to young Sean there, and I unfortunately, because of the voice disguise system, I can't let you talk directly to him, but he is on the other line. What would you say to that young man?
God, my heart goes out to him. It really does. It goes out to anybody that has put them into that situation. But the best bit of advice, and it annoyed my my eldest for years, concentrate on becoming a person, becoming a human, before worrying about what gender you are, what sexuality you are, and all of that. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're gay or straight, bisexual, trans, it really doesn't matter what you are. At the end of the day, you are who you are. It's not what you are. Is your personality is what your friends and your family love. There are groups. He's still within the age group. There's a group called Belong To, and they have meetings. Well, they have it's like a youth club, and my eldest went there for about 2 years, and it was just a get together with people of all sexuality. It didn't matter, and the people there are the adults that run it are very helpful, and there's young adults that have gone through it as well, and they do workshops and they do special talks and everything like that, and they can advise Sean. They can even help bring his parents in and sit down, and if that's what he wants to do,
all right,
to talk to them.
That's great.
But
Great
my
advice
there as well is, if he's that worried about it, look, your mental health is the most important. And like I said, become a person first, concentrate on your schoolwork, get out, finish school. College is completely different.
Absolutely, a completely different world altogether.
Yeah, you don't put up with it now. It's fun,
Yep.
He says after school he has great fun with his friends. It's during school, and he's afraid to tell his parents. I know people that have come out as gay to their parents, and they have, and sadly they have been disowned. But they're happy but sad at the same time.
Yes, exactly.
I know parents have come around to the idea, but he has to also understand that his parents come from a different generation. His parents love him no matter what.
And it has to be said, his parents may very well surprise him with their reaction. He may be left gobsmacked. Let me just go back to Sean for 1 second. And as I said, we have disguised Sean's voice to protect his identity. Sean, have you ever heard of that group Belong To?
No, I've actually never even knew there was such a thing.
Yeah, well, there is. And let me tell you what it says. Details of all of our nationwide groups for young LGBT people. There's meetings, and there's a phone number here if you're interested in ringing them.
Yeah, of course.
And these will be a group of young people like yourself who may be experiencing exactly what you're experiencing, which would be very helpful. The number is, it's a Dublin number, 01 670 6223. 01 670 6223. The group is called Belong To, and I'm told, in fact, some of my colleagues here are telling me that they do fantastic work. So that could be well worth a phone call for you, Sean. All I can say is I wish you the very best. As that lady said, just concentrate on school, get that out of the way, and then the whole world will open up for you. And with support from a group like Belong To, you might learn how to deal with it from there on. Sean, I wish you the very best of luck, and thank you very much indeed for talking to me, and keep in touch with us. All right, I find that quite sad, I really do. And if anything, this is why a festival like Pride is so important. Belong To. Sarah, you're on 98FM. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, how are you doing?
Sarah, you are a young 21-year-old... sorry, I'm disguising your voice as well, just for the record. Sorry, you're a young 21-year-old lady who can't tell anyone in your family because of religious reasons.
Yes, I'm also foreign as well, so I come from an immigrant family. So, culturally as well, that would be, very unusual and not accepted. And to me, the harder part is the religion, because my family is very much involved, in a church. And, I've grown up in the church, and they're sort of in a leadership position.
Sorry, Sarah, I have to cut across you. Are you in an echoey room or on hands-free or something? Because it's extremely difficult to hear you.
Okay. Is it better now?
Yes, it is a bit better now. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so I was saying, I do come from a very religious family, and I am, very much involved in the church, and I have been, growing up. So, I was in church since I was, preteen, all through my, secondary school and all that. So, people have this idea of who I am, and they've seen this. So, in a way, I understand where my parents would be coming from.
Yes. And okay, with that in mind, and like you said, you come from a very religious background, can you ever see a day where you would be able to come out to your parents?
To be honest with you, I feel like my only hope would be, to sort of finish college, move out, because if I say anything now, I'll be out the house. I have another year to go in college. I have no other family or anything, so I would sort of be out in the streets. I don't know anyone else. Like I said, I'm not originally from Ireland, so, this would be it. And the thing as well, my parents would be very sort of openly homophobic, and they'll say things about, LGBT people openly and don't see anything wrong with it. And, over the weekend, actually, I was speaking to my mom, like, oh, you can't say that. And she was like, oh, why are you always defending those people? Is it like, it's not like you're gay or anything, you know what I mean? So it is something that's bothering me. Mentally, it's very hard to be in the closet, especially, with pride coming up and everything. I'm out to everyone else. Like, I'm out to my friends, I'm out in work.
Okay, but just not to your family. So could you find yourself in the future essentially leading a double life?
That's what I feel like I'm doing, because I go home, even the way I dress, I go home, I have to be someone else, and then in work I'm very openly, out. I wear badges, have LGBT things all over my desk and everything. So, I feel like I am.
Oh, sorry, we're after losing her there. Here's the sad part of that story as well, that this lady, in order to be herself, could face living the rest of her life in a double life because of her parents and their religious beliefs. Let me just bring in one last call, and that's you, Paul. You're on 98FM. How are you, Paul?
Hello?
Yes, Paul, how are you?
How are you going?
Good, thank you.
I'll only take a minute of your time because I'm working with a crew of lads.
No problem, off you go.
Okay, my son came out 8 months ago as being gay, and I'm so proud of him. And he was bullied there about 3 months ago, but fortunately or unfortunately, he stood up for himself because he's well able to look after himself. Mm-hmm. Now, I think the problem is you don't hear of many girls being beaten up or bullied. Maybe bullied on social, I don't do all that. But it's always the lads. These guys, these bullies, these ignorant morons that bully guys because they're gay, they won't bully girls because they think, that's cool. The girl thing, but it's the boy thing. But my son stood up for himself. 3 lads bullied him, and they were pushing him, and he pushed them back. Like, he's well able to look after himself. But all I wanted to say is those poor people that have been on the phone, have been listening, my heart goes out to them. I can't tell them what to do.
No, of course, and nor can any of us.
Just be proud of yourselves. You are. It's like that song, "We're only human after all," But it's just those ignorant morons that pick on guys. It's mostly guys.
Yes.
If those 3, say, morons that picked on my son, and one of them regrets it now, if they saw 2 girls, whatever, they'd stand there and look at it and think it's cool.
And when you say one of them regrets it, why?
Because my son defended himself. Because
right. I'm with you. Okay, right.
He does martial arts. When I say he defended himself, he put him down. He didn't hit him. He just incapacitated him.
Right, very good, yeah.
But it's just those morons. I don't like to repeat myself. If they saw 2 girls holding hands or kissing, that's cool, But if it's 2 guys, that's not right.
All right, Paul, and as a parent, you were extremely proud of your son when he came out to you 8 months ago.
I'm so proud. Really, that's good to hear. Really, I adore the ground the guy walks on.
That's fantastic news. All right, Paul, thanks very much indeed. And let me just read out one last message. And this is after coming in to me from that young man that we called Sean. And it says, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Even talking to you has made me more confident. Job done. If you're around Dublin over the weekend, the Pride parade takes place in the city centre at 2:00 tomorrow. Enjoy it and have a great Pride weekend.
98FM, the sound of the city.
98FM's Dublin Talks, weekdays from 10 a.m.
with Adrian Kennedy.